Hello and welcome back to Project Rebearth. We spent the previous episode just focusing on getting a bunch of wood production to get started. And while there will probably be a little bit more of that in this video as well, I actually want to start this video off by unlocking one of the main features of this game. And that is trading with other players in the global market. There are actually two different ways that you can unlock trading. One of them is with the market, which costs just 500 wood, 100 stone and 50 clay, and the other way is with the port, which costs 1000 wood, 500 stone, and the biggest cost is the 50 tools, because tools are actually quite difficult to get. But the difference between them is that with the port, the shipping costs in the global market are actually halved, and that does actually help out quite a lot to get good deals on the market. So I think I actually want to skip placing the market and place the port right away. Now another thing that it needs is 20 workers, and right now we have 0 available workers. So I guess let's just start off by placing only a few housing buildings to get up to 20 workers. Okay, and that is already enough. And the place that I had in mind for the port is right over here. I think the port is going to fit in quite nicely here. So let's just go to infrastructure, select the port, and that is going to be quite a major and quite an important building placed. So let's just get it right. Maybe something like this should work. And yeah, so with that we have now unlocked the global market. So we can now click on this button down here and we can click on the market and we can see what is available for sale. So as you can see here, wood for example is currently available at 0.54 coins per wood. And yeah, so I did not mention it previously, but to buy stuff in the global market you actually need coins, and that is this over here. Right now we are not really producing any. I mean, we are producing 0.55 per day, but that is like basically nothing. That is just from our decorative market stalls here. So yeah, we will also need to get some buildings that earn us some coins in this video. But first let's decorate this port just a little bit. Okay, so yeah, just nothing too complicated, just a plaza surface and some tables. But yeah, so earning coins. How do you do that? As far as I know, currently the best way to earn coins is with taverns, which basically sell alcohol to your population and you earn coins from that. So as you can see here, this tavern would consume 10 alcohol per day and produce 10 coins per day. But that of course brings up another question: how do you get alcohol? And well, you get alcohol by having a brewery. As you can see, each brewery can produce 50 alcohol per day, which is quite a lot actually. But the brewery needs grain. And yeah, currently we do not have any fields yet, we are not producing any grain, so we will need to do that. But obviously for all of that we need workers once again. You can see that the brewery here requires 10 workers, each tavern will also need 5 workers, the fields themselves will need workers, so yeah, long story short, let's start off by placing more housing just to get more workers. Okay, so that should be enough for now, and we should still have a little bit of wood left over to place the first few fields. Obviously we won't have enough for the brewery or tavern itself just yet, but that's fine, I can just wait a little bit more for more to get produced. And I also left this little corner for the first tavern to go. But yeah, so now I guess let's spend the rest of this wood on fields. And I think I can just have them go right here next to the wood production area. That should work just fine.
Like stormy weather, can't seem to breathe when you're with me. If you're gonna break me, I know I won't stay. I don't wanna wait here, you push me away. If you're gonna choose, you don't know what to do. I don't wanna.
Okay, so we are now producing 62 grain per day, but we actually aren't because we don't have any storage for it, so it can't really get produced. Because if I hover my mouse over it, you can see that the capacity that I have for it is 0. So how do we fix that? We can just go to the center and open the storage section, and let's just allocate grain, a little bit of storage as well. I guess we don't need that much storage for tools because we won't have that many of them anytime soon, so let's just put that down to like 300, and then I can have a storage of 700 for grain. So let's just click apply, and yeah, so now we have a capacity of 700 for grain and just 300 for tools, which is completely fine, and we should see that we start producing some grain right away. Yeah, so we now have 0.01, and that should slowly go up. Now, to actually produce the alcohol, as I mentioned before, we need the brewery, which costs 50 wood, but I do not have 50 wood anymore. And to solve that, and just so I don't have to wait so long, I have actually decided that I will use my starting coins to buy wood. As much of it as I can, basically. So let's just go to the market, let's select wood, and yeah, the cheapest wood is 0.54. We can afford, how much of it? We can afford 188 wood. So let's just click the buy button, and immediately you see that we don't have any coins remaining, basically, and we have 221 wood, which will be enough for now. And yeah, so for now I think the brewery can just go like right over here, for example. I think I will be able to place a tavern next to it as well, so let's just place it here. And yes, since each brewery produces 50 alcohol per day, but each tavern actually only consumes 10 per day, that means that for each 5 taverns you actually need only 1 brewery. So yeah, well, right now I can't actually afford 5 taverns, I can afford only 3, both in terms of my available workers and in terms of wood, but that should be more than enough to just get started. So I think one of them can go right over here, one of them can go right here next to the brewery, and now where do we put the last one? How about right here next to the water? And just like that, we are now producing a whole 30 coins per day, which is definitely not a lot, but it is a good start for sure. And we also have a little bit of grain production left over. We have 12.7 left over, so I think that I can just take one of these fields like this one, for example, and actually set it to grow potatoes instead. Because as you can see, we currently have a pretty huge deficit for food in our town, and we will have to deal with that eventually, so better to just get ahead of it as much as possible. But yeah, so now I basically just have to wait for more wood to be produced once again. So yeah, let's wait. And well, that's not good. I have not played in actually quite a few days, and because of that I ran out of food completely. And because of that people started stealing, so I lost 54 coins actually, so that is definitely not great. And yeah, you can see that happiness is at only 50%. So yeah, obviously now the first thing I need to do is very quickly get some food for the people. Right now I actually have a deficit of 107 food, so that is actually quite a lot. So yeah, let's try to even out this deficit of 107 and start actually going positive in terms of food. And actually what I want to do for food production is place one of these windmills, because these windmills will produce flour, and then I can turn the flour into food with the bakery. And that is a lot more efficient than placing a lot of fields. But it also does have a higher upfront cost, but I think I can afford it. Now, of course, all of these things like the windmill and the bakery itself need workers, and right now I don't have any workers, so once again I need to place a little bit more housing buildings first. Okay, so that is just a tiny bit of housing, but should be enough for now. So now let's just figure out where I want to place the windmill. And I think actually this little leftover corner here will work perfectly for that. So let's go over to the food tab, grab the windmill, and oh, actually I can't place it that close to the wood production, but that's fine. And I think I will place it facing like this direction. That would make sense maybe. Yeah, that's fine. Let's place it right here. Let's also just connect it up with a path real quick. And yeah, as you can see, this is now producing 100 flour per day, Now, as I mentioned previously, to actually turn this flour into food, I need a bakery, so let's place that next. That will also be in the food tab, so let's just go ahead, grab the bakery, which also costs a little bit of tools, which is kind of expensive, but again, I think I can afford it for now. And how about on this corner? I think this placement should be just fine. Yeah, now this bakery alone is producing 100 food per day, but since it only consumes 50 flour per day, I can actually place another one. And I'm not quite sure where I want to place it right now, so for now I will just place it like in the middle here, I guess, and I will probably move it later on when I place housing in this area and make it fit the housing that surrounds it, if that makes sense. So yeah, now we have a surplus of food production, but instead we have a deficit of grain. And that is of course because the windmill requires grain to produce flour. And to solve that I will need to place a bit more fields. But first I can just turn this potato field into a grain field, and that will already give me 9.2 grain per day. But yeah, I need to place a few more fields to get rid of this grain deficit. Okay, and that should be just enough for now. And now the next thing I actually want to focus on is producing just a little bit more coins, so we have a bit more money to spend in the global market. And once again, I will just be doing that by producing some more alcohol and placing some more taverns. I do still have 20 left over from before, so I can place 2 more taverns without another brewery, but I think that I will actually end up placing just 1 more brewery and then 5 more taverns for that one. So in theory we should end up with a coin production of 100 per day, which should be good enough for now. But of course for all of that we once again need a bit more workers, so I will just place some new housing and try to work the taverns into it. And just like that, I am now almost out of wood again, but we are now producing 101 coins per day. As you might have seen, just for now I placed a few taverns over here, because I think that if I tried to fit them all in this area, there would be way too many taverns and just an area that small. So yeah, for now I just placed them kind of in this field along with the bakery itself as well, and later on when I place more housing buildings I will just grab them from here, move them and place them wherever it's most needed, wherever it will fit in the best. But yeah, for now they will just stay down here. And yeah, with all of these brand new taverns placed, we are once again negative in terms of grain production. It is right now negative 47, and to solve that I will of course need to place a few more grain fields. Now thankfully I do actually have 209 wood in order to do that. And yeah, for now I have just kind of been placing these fields along this main road here, but it actually runs out over here, so I will need to extend it a good bit. And yeah, for now something like that should be just fine. I don't really have much more stone to expand it much further, so yeah, let's just place a few more fields so we don't have a deficit in grain production anymore. And yeah, just these 2 fields are actually already enough to delete our deficit, so now we are producing a positive of 2.9 grain per day, which is basically nothing, but the main thing is that we aren't losing any. And yeah, so now with all of this, I do still have 33.9 workers left over, and I think I want to use them to produce a bit more wood. The production we got earlier of 653 is quite decent, but of course more is always better. So I will place a few more of these plantations, or well, as much of them as I can afford. And actually, if I run out of wood, I'm pretty sure I will just use the coins that I have to buy some more in the market. And yeah, so right now the going rate for wood in the market is 0.6 for each one. And yeah, well, even with spending all of the coins I had, I was only able to place these 2 plantations, since they are actually quite expensive as it turns out, and I have just 50 wood and 8.3 workers left over, which is not really enough to place any decently sized plantation, so I think I'll just leave it as it is for now. But yeah, well, with that I think that will actually be it for this episode. We got quite a lot of things done. We of course started producing some alcohol, and from that we are producing coins now. We also managed to get our food production to be positive and not starve our people anymore, which is quite important. And of course we also expanded the wood production a little bit. So I think overall this will have been quite a productive episode. So yeah, that will be it for this one, and see you in the next one. Goodbye.